This man is nicknamed La Tortuga, or the Turtle in English. Gabriel Deck is one of the most versatile forwards playing in Europe. He can score, defend, rebound, and the Argentine fights like hell. Yet, he only managed 17 games in the NBA. Football, not basketball, was Deck's first love, but when one of the guys with whom his brother Joaquin played basketball couldn't make it, Gabriel was asked to play. Slowly, Gabriel joined Joaquin in watching daily news coverage of basketball. They created their own makeshift court behind their house. The Deck brothers packed down the reddish-brown dirt in the yard by watering it daily until it was firm enough for a basketball to bounce properly. The rim was too small and got worn out quickly with the boys dunking and hanging on it. Again and again it needed to be welded. Eventually Deck's father found an old tractor steering wheel to serve as a permanent fixture, wide enough for the ball to fit and solid enough to withstand two growing boys and their friends. Deck left home at the age of 13 and started his professional career with the Argentinian club Quimsa. He made his debut in Argentine's top flight age just 14. Like many of his countrymen, Deck moved to Spain once Argentina got too small for him. But when guys like Luis Scola and Andres Nazioni left for Europe before they were 20 years old, Deck went to Spain aged 23. The pressure was on as Deck signed for Real Madrid, one of the most historic and successful clubs in Europe. Real helped him ease into European basketball, and his importance for the team rose step by step. By the fall of 2020, Deck was an integral part for Real and cemented his place as one of the EuroLeague's best forwards. Since Ginnobili's retirement, no Argentinian player had been able to establish a firm foot in the NBA. Deck hoped to be the one when he signed with the Oklahoma City Thunder in April 2021. It's curious to note that Ginobili himself had a role in helping Deck's name to be on the NBA radar. Ginobili said on an Argentinian podcast that the late Kobe Bryant himself asked him about Deck during the 2019 World Cup, and that Kobe became a fan of his and wished to take him to the Los Angeles Lakers. Rumors of Deck going to the NBA started circulating in the fall of 2020, and he was paired with the Los Angeles Clippers, New York Knicks, and OKC. Choosing the Thunder was a sensible move. They had plenty of international players, and the Thunder GM Sam Presti had worked closely with Argentines Luis Scola, Fabrizio Oberto and Manu Ginobili during his time with the San Antonio Spurs. Presti praised Argentinian basketball. These guys have a spirit to play the way they play. They have a commitment to team above all else. They have an inherent toughness and competitiveness. The Thunder was in the start of a rebuild. Deck was signed to a multi-year contract worth $14.5 million with only the first season being guaranteed. He left for the NBA during a very important time for Real, as he went before the playoffs in the EuroLeague and Spain. Losing an integral part of your roster was obviously painful, but due to an NBA clause in his contract, their hands were tied. European basketball media calculated that OKC spent around $4 million for Deck's 1 month of playing in that season. Half of the sum were taxes, and Deck's former club Real Madrid received a full buyout of €1.5 million for the forward. It was expected that Deck would go around €1.1 million as salary. To get Deck, OKC needed to free up a spot. They waived swingman Darius Miller, who was a deep rotation guy but ultimately had no future in the Oklahoma City. Thunder head coach Mark Daigneault was very excited about Deck. Our front office and scouting staff really like him. He's a multi-positional and a pretty versatile player. We can't wait to get him in the fold, get to know him a little bit, learn his game and see how he can help us in the year and moving forward. Deck, who didn't speak English when going to the States, made his debut in the NBA against the New Orleans Pelicans. He matched up against Zion Williamson before matching up against any of his Thunder teammates in practice. Deck shot 1 of 5 from the field, but showed a glimpse of his passing ability with a behind-the-back assist to Isaiah Roby for an easy layup. Deck played 10 games in the 2021 season. He averaged 8.4 points, 4 rebounds, and 2.4 assists in a little over 21 minutes per game. One particular weakness of his was 3-point shooting. In a league where 3-pointers are king, he only managed to connect on 13.3% of his attempts. Deck had some good or even surprisingly good games. For example, he posted 16 points on 7 shots in 16 minutes of play against the Sacramento Kings, after which head coach Dagenau was full of praise. "We love his physicality around the basket, plays much bigger than he is and plays much tougher than his size. He's a pretty nasty dude defensively, and then offensively he really knows how to play, and that's a pretty good combination." Although the sample size was small, Deck was praised for his appearances. NBA analysts noted that he had excellent post moves for a forward, could hold his own defensively, and provided consistent scoring in his limited minutes for the Thunder. He made some nice passes as a lead facilitator, and it was easy to see how his game could translate to the NBA long term. But it was obvious his game needed plenty of refining for the NBA. Getting better at shooting long range was the biggest talking point. It must be said that the 3-point lines in Europe and NBA are different, and Deck wasn't a useless shooter in Europe, so it was hoped that he would just need time to adjust. Expanding his range was key for Deck to maximize the rest of his game. If the defender can play off him when he's further from the basket, the court gets condensed, which helps to neutralize his passing abilities and chances to drive to the basket. Although Deck was solid in his debut season considering the circumstances, many said that it would be hard for the OKC to find minutes for Deck in the next season. While the Thunder's depth on the wing wasn't great, they had several young players they wanted and needed to give the opportunity to play and develop. At 26, Deck was an older player relative to his teammates, and it was said that his fit with the Thunder didn't make a lot of sense. As his contract with the OKC wasn't guaranteed, it was rumored that Deck thought of going back to Spain during the summer of 2021. He didn't, but in hindsight he probably should have. OKC started the 21-22 season with 6 wins and 14 losses, but Deck's part in the rotation was small. Or, as Sports Illustrated put it, the turtle has been completely cut off from the rotation and pushed into his shell. The Thunder was stuck with 10 players 23 years old or under. The 26-year-old Deck fell outside of the Thunder's rebuilding window. It didn't help his case that OKC drafted Josh Giddey, which meant that Deck's once established point forward role vanished. Deck didn't play much as he was assigned to the G League on several occasions, and when he got meaningful game time for the Thunder, it came in a 73-point loss against the Memphis Grizzlies. Deck's fate was pretty much sealed in November 21 when OKC head coach Dagenau said that Deck is a really good post player, but that's not how the Thunder typically plays. Little more than a month later, Real Madrid announced that they've signed Deck, who averaged 2.6 points and 0.9 rebounds in the 7 games he played in the 21-22 season. The timing of his return to Europe wasn't a surprise, as Deck's second-year contract with OKC, worth $3.6 million, would have become guaranteed on the 10th of January 2022. Furthermore, Deck's departure was a win-win situation, as the Thunder got rid of an old-school player in the terms of the NBA who wasn't the perfect fit for the timeline. Real Madrid got one of their pillars back, and Deck got to play consistently at a high level.